So hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to your Magic Month Extra. For those of you that do not know Magic Month, it is an energy forecast show that really is about helping you live a more connected life, connecting to the energies of each month and the special events like eclipses and solstices and things like that. And your Magic Month Extra is an interview show where we bring on special, amazing, wonderful people and pick a subject that they specialize in to talk to them about. My name is Katie. I'm from Starlight and I host Magic Month and your Magic Month Extra. And I am so excited about this show because this show is dedicated to channeling, which is the center of my path and has been so important to my life. And I'm so excited because the guest on this show is Tatanka, who is just my favorite channel in the whole world. She's such an amazing channel, and so I'm so honored to have her on the show. For those of you that are listening live, it would be really amazing if you could let us know that you can hear, that the technology is working perfectly. As you know, in Magic Month, sometimes we have technical problems. So please use the chat box to let us know that you can hear, that everything is working. And also, we love Magic Month to be co-creative. So at any point that you have guidance, insight, wisdom that you want to share, questions that you want to ask, things that you want to have channeled about, questions you want to have channeled about, please use the chat box to make sure that to share those things and to ask those questions and to make this show your show, because it is as much about us and you and all of us together co-creating this show journey, which is all about learning about channeling and demystifying channeling, because not everybody understands what channeling is. I'm going to let Sanka say hello, and then we will open the meditation once I've heard from some of you that you can hear us and that you're live. So hi, Sanka.
Hi, Katie, and hi, everyone. So wonderful to be online with you all this evening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. As you know, this is a topic of discussion near and dear to my own heart, to my own life. There isn't an area of my life where channeling has not become a mainstay for me. So I'm just so grateful and delighted to be able to share some of my experience and knowledge in this area with all of you tonight. So thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's awesome. I'm so excited you're on the show. I'm so excited we're doing a show about channeling. For those of you that don't know Magic Month, really we do so many different topics and things, but channeling is literally at the heart of everything I do, and so it's such an honor to be dedicating a show to channeling. Thank you for those that are tuning in. Some of you are having a bit of trouble connecting, but saying it's all fine now, so I'm going to take it that everybody is fine. If at any point there is trouble connecting, just shout to us, and I don't know, we'll call the angels or something. Tatanka, just so you know, you're flashing in and out a bit, so your sound is fine, but your picture keeps breaking up. So I don't know if you want to turn the other internet off, but it doesn't really matter because we can hear you, and that's the important thing. And now you're fine. Now you're solid.
Okay.
You're just channeling. That's what happens when you channel.
It's exactly the energy aligning. We're like antennas, you know, the energy has to find its harmony flowing through. So maybe
it's vibrational. Yeah, that's the one thing I warn you all. Like, if the channeling begins on this show, the connection might break up. Channeling can affect internet energy. So we're going to begin with a meditation, just to connect everybody in. I'm not going to turn the cameras or the mics off, just to keep the connection strong. So when you're ready, closing your eyes and feeling the muscles around your eyes relaxing as you breathe in love and breathe out gratitude. Breathe in love and breathe out gratitude. And as you breathe in love, feel your heart expanding. And as you breathe out gratitude, feel your aura expanding. As you breathe in love, feel your heart expanding. And as you breathe out gratitude, feel your aura expanding. As you breathe this expansive breath, feel a column of white light pouring down into your energy field, instantly raising your vibration and traveling down through all the different layers of the earth into the iron core crystal at the center of the earth. And allow this light to integrate you into the moment, to bring you into the present, to hold you so that you are aligned with all that is above, with the great heart of the universe, and all that is below, with the great heart of Gaia. And know that you are completely safe, that you are completely held, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Allowing the magnetic love of Gaia to ground you into the present, just as the source light has awakened you into the present. And opening your heart to this webinar, to those that you are sharing this webinar with, that are listening in different time zones and different places around the world. And feel our heart circle, this moment of coming together to learn, to grow, to expand. And as you open your heart to all these people that are listening, feel all of these hearts opening to you, and the support and love that comes from human to human love. Flowing to you and from you and through you, so that we are held in a human heart grid, in a soul heart grid. And as you open your heart to the guides that are supporting this webinar, notice the energy of the spirit hearts that are also supporting you, that are also helping you to grow and evolve and understand and learn. And feel all of that love and support from all these different directions. It's the beautiful thing about channeling, it's so about being supported. And knowing that you're completely supported, open your heart and ask, why am I here? Why am I listening to this webinar? Why was I called? And let the answer come to your heart. As a feeling, as a word, as a picture, as a knowing. As you breathe in love and breathe out gratitude, choosing to gift yourself this hour and a half just for yourself, just for your own expansion. And honoring that self-love, that gift of self-growth. Breathing in love, breathing out gratitude. And when you are ready, opening your heart, opening your eyes, and coming in to the room, into the webinar. And we would love to hear from any of you about how you felt in that first webinar, which was channeling, like getting a message to your heart. It's the beginning of channeling, so you already learned something about channeling. I went to pull a pack of cards, a card from one of the packs of cards I've got, and the card that I pulled was simplicity. And I think that really is a wonderful group intention for this webinar, because the thing that I found teaching channeling is it's actually so much simpler than you think. Like, it's often our ability to overcomplicate things that causes us to block our ability to channel. We expect it to be harder than it is. And so I invite you all to just allow this listening process, this understanding process, to be simple. To be simple. And let's begin. Tatankas, tell me how you became a channel. Tell me your story.
Oh my goodness. So, where to begin? My journey really began, what I would say, the part of my journey began in childhood. I was born what I would call naturally sensitive. So as a child, being able to feel energies around me, being very empathic, was just part of my everyday existence. At the time, I, of course, did not have a language to be able to communicate my what I would call my is of the spiritual world or the unseen dimension. So a lot of it was just an internalized experience. But I'll give you an example. One of my strongest channeling senses is I'm clairaudient, so I hear communication from the other side. And I remember being old and sitting in the bathtub and actually having a conversation, which at the time I used to think I was talking to God. I would tell myself this. I'm like, I'm having a conversation. I would ask a question, and I would always, although the sound of the voice, it was always somebody older than me and someone so much wiser, and just the love. My childhood experience of channeling and of being psychically connected was this overwhelming sense of love and support from the unseen world. That I was truly aware that this was a phenomenon outside of me per se, or that it wasn't happening for everyone. I just assumed that this was a natural way of being. My family growing up, I come from a line of sensitives, both on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family. Although this was not something that was just growing up, we tended to fit a fairly mainstream looking family. But my mother had mediumistic abilities, and there were times around the home growing up as a young child where certain phenomenon would happen, would be noticed and acknowledged, and then quickly move along and go to the next normal grounded experience. So me, being a channel, being psychically attuned from young was always there. In my teen years and early 20s, this natural ability, which I believe we all have to be psychically in tune with the world us, I would turn the volume button down on my ability to sense this, just as part of integrating into the world, trying to find my place as a teenager, and, wanting to fit in and not always feeling that something was different about me and not quite understanding. Only when I moved to the UK in 2008, which was totally prompted by this intuition, the sense that I had to go, there was something so important waiting for me there. It took me 3 years to make that decision. I left a job, I left my family, I left my home in Canada where I was living at the time, and I moved following an instinct. I truly believe that there are places on this earth that are almost like activation portals, where whatever our natural tendencies are, whatever our spiritual gifts may be, when we are called to be in certain areas, and these regions of the world amplify our abilities. I went through what I would call an awakening process when I moved to the UK. My psychic senses flew wide open. My empathic ability without boundaries. In fact, it was a bit of a scary experience just because I started to feel everybody's emotions. I started to receive communication coming through clairvoyantly. It was really a bit of
That's intense to have that much of a, because most people, just for the people that are listening, most people when they learn to channel, they like develop it little by little, and it sounds like you just like popped and like
I just
opened.
popped.
Yeah.
And
how did you cope with
by the grace of the universe, I tell you, I developed this migraine that wouldn't go away for it was about 2 weeks. I tried everything, and a thought popped into my head: try and find a massage therapist. Perhaps it's muscular, or I Googled a massage therapist in my neighborhood where I lived, and there was one by the name of Solara Ann Ross. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Solara, but she went on to become, she's also a meditation teacher, channeler of higher consciousness. She is phenomenal. At that time, she was practicing craniosacral therapy. I walked to the door of the therapy rooms where I thought I was just going to have a massage done as headache would go away. The moment I walked in, I just felt as though something had lifted, literally like my skull had lifted off my head. There was such an energetic relief and expansion, opening on a physical level. I thought, no, something major is going to happen here. I need to pay attention. In the course of my having aura, I started to just open up and tell this beloved woman all the weird, strange experiences I was having, from bursting into tears, walking on onto the tube, and just feeling overwhelmed with sadness and being happy just 2 minutes ago, and all of a sudden emotions and phenomenon that were occurring. And Solara said the most beautiful thing. She gave me a sense of, you're not mad. This is just psychic opening. This is what's happening. And she explained it to me in the most simple terms. And I felt honestly seen for the first time. I felt and someone could see me and understand what I was, and it gave me hope that I could understand myself. At that moment, Solara mentioned to me, I asked her, well, what do you do? And she explained that she teaches people also how to channeling. She does an opening to channeling workshop. At that point, I didn't know what the phenomenon of channeling was. I'd heard of Abraham Hicks. I'd listened to Hay House Radio. Occasionally, psychics come on and speak to the phenomenon and the art of mediumship and channeling, but that was the extent of it. I had no conscious experience myself at that point. Everything inside of me, I based on I said, I need to be on this course. When is the next course? I didn't even know what the details of the next workshop were going to be, channeling course. I just said, I just have to be there. And by the luck of it, there was one spot left on the course, and it was coming up that weekend. And so I signed up. I arrived to the most incredible experience. The first session where we sat down, most of the people in the group at that workshop were experienced meditators, experienced channelers who were there wanting to expand their ability. And the most happened for me. This was my first formal experience sitting down to channel, and immediately I was able to connect with beings of higher consciousness. The channeling was just flowing through me, much to everybody's surprise, because here I am, never meditated in my life, never done anything, and the channel opened. And this was my introduction.
Have you asked your guides about what? So I just want to say, for everybody that's listening, Tatanka story is rare. Like most people learn how to channel slowly through meditation, through like, unlike Tatanka, I did not have an instant awakening. I was like, I really want to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And like, I think most people that learn how to channel, that's the route that they take. So have you asked your guides about why it just went pop for you? Have you ever found that
out? Yeah. So there are a lot of reasons why my experience has been one of them, it's really, there is a karmic element to my ability to do this, meaning that genetically, quite possibly past life experience, I have been in the capacity of learning this art and practicing this art. So in this incarnation, I was not necessarily starting. I wasn't aware of the tools or the practice of channeling, the language of channeling, but the propensity was already inbuilt in my DNA, and it was just a matter of that awakening. Another thing was, I firmly believe that sitting down with people who were meditators already and who were channelers, their frequency had already reached a certain height. And the amazing thing I always tell people is, if prove at whatever skill or art of your choice, practice with people who are better than you.
Yes.
Practice with people who you feel are out of your range, because what happens is there is this harmonic that happens, is that when you are meditating or channeling, working with people that are of a certain level of development, your frequency will rise to the highest levels possible within that group. Mm-hmm. So that almost immediate opening for me was really a co-creative activation.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I so agree with that. And I know that there's a massive range of people listening to this webinar, and actually, you know, it's not 2008 anymore. Most people have developed connection tools, but never stop where you are. Like, keep seeking out people that can teach you new things and can develop your channeling, because that's how you're going to raise your vibration, because our energy bodies are very like children, in the sense that they look at you the way the children look at an adult and go, I can do that, I want to do that. Like, you know, my guys even talk about, with some types of channeling, how they teach it is they're just like, tell your auras to copy Katie's aura and you'll be able to do it. And I'm like, I don't even understand what that means. But it's like, our energy bodies learn by seeing other energy bodies. And so, and you know, especially if you're a space holder or a teacher, you've got to keep putting yourself in the situation where you're learning. Otherwise, you're going to cap yourself at your channeling limitations, which, why would you do that, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I agree with what you say. The most important aspect of movement as a channeler, I believe, is the fact that I approach it with childlike wonder. I arrive to channeling not knowing, without having a mental structure or belief system around how it should look, what the practice should be like. I was completely open, excited, curious. And when you're in that space, blank page, and just there with enthusiasm, the universe cannot help but to align you with the highest possible version of your gift and your talent. You will automatically rise to the highest level of your potential, because there's no blocks, there's nothing, there's no resistance psychologically, mentally, emotionally standing in the way.
Yeah,
you can go like and just, you know, down your course at the speed that you are meant to go.
Play is the best state of being for learning anything, especially learning channeling. Like, it's about being curious and playful. And actually, every child knows how to channel. It's not coincidence that every child has imaginary friends. You knew how to channel when you were a child. You just forgot how to channel when you became a teenager and got really conscious of what everybody else thinks and really unplayful. And so essentially, you're not even learning. It's not like driving where you're learning something you don't know how to do. You're just remembering how to do something that, like Tatanka said, you've done through so many lifetimes, and also that you did as a child. I mean, me and Tatanka were talking earlier, and we were saying, we reckon that you don't sit in the womb for 9 months not doing anything. Channeling in the womb the whole time, because otherwise you'd be so bored. Like in those 9 months in the womb, you know, you're channeling about the earth, you're channeling about your mother, you're channeling about your family's karma, like you're in your womb channeling, you know. So it's something that
Katie,
you knew how to do.
Sorry.
Go
on. I was just I actually get a lot of questions from people asking me to define channeling, because this different people experience channeling in different ways, and sometimes this can the definition so subjective that it becomes difficult for other people to connect to one's experience when speaking on it. Can you share from your perspective what you believe channeling is? What does this mean?
That's such a good question. So to me, channeling is actually a really broad thing. Like I would say, from my perspective, that channeling is connection. So every artist is channeling. Every time you have an instinctual moment, that is channeling. All of mediumship is channeling. If meditation is channeling, like to me, channeling is this really kind of big umbrella that is about every time you make a connection, either to your heart, to yourself, to the earth, to the universe, to spirit. That being said, when I talk about teaching channeling, I am talking about refining that connection down, taking it away from kind of the arts and the creatives and the idea-y side of channeling and into a way of connecting to spirit, whether that is the spirit of the earth, the spirit of yourself, the many spirits in the multi-dimensional universe that we live in. But it's about it's about connecting to and communing and communicating with the energy of spirit. I think that is the best description that I have. Do you have what's your definition, Tatanka?
Absolutely. In my experience, anytime we are connecting with an energy outside of ourselves, a consciousness outside of ourselves, this falls under the category of channeling. It's been very interesting for me to understand that a human being really is just a prism through consciousness is always trying to shine through us from the subtle realms, from the metaphysical, the spiritual realms, and become made manifest also into this third-dimensional reality. So I would say I like to think of it as a window. If you think of sunlight, a human being is like a window. Communication from the other side is always attempting to come in through us, whether it's from plants, animals, through empathic connection to other people's emotions. The light is always trying to come through. And the ability for the light to do that depends on how clean the window is. If your window is full of dust and dirt, how much is going to be able to get through? And so all we have to do to access consciously this channeling ability is just wash down our window, and the process is going to happen naturally.
That is such
clean the window.
This is so how I feel. Like I agree with Tatanka so much. It's already happening. It's just the law of free will in the universe means that it's not gonna happen as fully unless you are willing to clean the window, to create space to connect. And as soon as you say you're willing to connect, that opens up your channeling journey. For me, the minute I ordered, for a year I'd been like wondering about channeling, and then I ordered a book called Opening to Channel, and before the book arrived I could channel, because the truth is that it's about your willingness to connect, and everything else is a tool. But we are going to talk about some of the tools that we think are really important for channeling. Before we do that, I just want to share, Shamila has just said she looked out of her window as we were talking and a white feather floated down, which I just think is like such a like angel channeling yes moment. And actually, before we move on, I just thank you for sharing your awakening stories, Tanka. But like, what do you do now as a channel? Like where has your channeling taken you since that journey? Like, what are you up to now with channeling?
So on a personal level, there is no separation from my everyday life and channeling. Honestly, literally, I could be walking down the strand, sensing, feeling communication from the squirrels running on the side of the grass, or the aliveness of life, the awareness that life forms are so conscious of me. The ability to sense and have a communication with disembodied beings, whether they be angelic beings, ancestral beings, light beings. This is just a normal part of almost everyday life for me now. My personal universe has so vastly that, but with so much grace at the same time. And by that, I mean that, you know, this process of opening to channeling and embracing channeling will only ever happen at a pace at which you can manage. Spirit is never going to overwhelm you or give you a cross to bear that heavy. So, but it has just personally opened up my life, brought people, given me situations through synchronicity, given me the courage to follow certain synchronicities, to follow changes in my life, that whether it would be moving countries or changing the type of work that I do, or the healing modalities that I offer, to be constantly more in alignment with allowing high vibrations to flow through me. And for me, this is what channeling is. It's allowing the highest vibrations, that which would serve the best for myself and for others, to move through me into this world. So personally and professionally, I work mostly now as a channel, and I do a period of readings to people want to, or for people. I've also channeled for groups, beings of higher consciousness, where we have a sort of Q&A session from an entire range of subjects, from physical health to consciousness-related topics on the planet, to people's personal questions about their life path, their purpose, so to speak, their dharmas. People are always looking to come into greater consciousness regarding their personal contribution to our time. So I assist people in acting this way, or teach them how they can act it for themselves. For example, now in the art of channeling. So yeah, that's where I'm at with channeling.
I love your description of it. You know, so many people say to me, like, oh, but if I learn to channel, like, my guide's going to be like in my ear all the time. And like, am I going to be connected all the time? And I'm like, it's up to you, because of the law of free will. Like, some people choose just to connect in when they're channeling. I personally choose to live in connection all the time, because life is better that way. Like, I love having my guides. with me. I love being able to like speak to trees and this is the thing about channeling. Like when you learn how to channel, everything in your life gets better, because even the bad things, you get to go and ask your guides about why the bad things happen, and they give you this like totally amazing higher perspective on it, and then it's not bad anymore. And I don't know, like your life just gets better with channeling. And most channels I know choose to stay in connection all the time because it's nicer, because it feels more alive, like Tatanka said. It feels more the way it should be, the way it should have always been. And it's just the most amazing, beautiful thing. And I also love what you said, Tatanka, about it giving you the confidence to walk your path. I believe wholeheartedly that learning to channel is the most important thing you can do for your path, no matter what your path is. Because
I agree.
It stops you wasting your time and energy on, because, and there are so many ways to channel. You can channel with synchronicity, which is like that feather and the signs that Tatanka was talking about. You can channel by connecting into your guides. You can channel by connecting into the plant spirits, by connecting into your path. But the point is that I don't do anything on my path that I haven't had confirmation is right for me. So that means that I live a life that is more in alignment with what my soul wants walking this path. I would not do like, of course, if I chose to do it, I could. But why would you waste your time, money, and energy doing things that are not in alignment with your path? And one thing that I'm seeing across the board on the spiritual scene is loads of people doing things because their friends are doing them, i.e. plant medicine mania that is happening. Whereas I believe if everybody was more connected as channels, you would only go and do the plant medicines that called you. Because why would you waste your time and energy going to ceremonies that are not right for you? And this is what channeling gives you. It gives you such a deeper sense of what is right for you, what is right for your path, what is the fastest way to fulfill your destiny, what is that way that is in the highest good to fulfill your destiny. And that's why no matter what your job is going to be, doesn't matter if you're going to be a professional channel or not, that's why channeling is such a gift. Because it's like, I always think of it as like, you know, having like those game shows where they're like phone a friend. It's like having constant phone a friend.
Like, your friends are always around you. Why wouldn't you talk to your friends or ask your friends for their insight and input? Yeah. They can see so much more what's going on around than we can, just from the third dimensional perspective. So why not? Why not co-create? Why not collaborate? Why not communicate with
everything,
beings around you that are so happy to serve your path, so happy to help us along a journey of raising our vibration, a journey of ascension. They just love it when we ask for help, or we even just that alone is like cleaning a window. Just to acknowledge that you've sensed presence or felt a feeling that you knew wasn't coming from you, or you received a vision, an image clairvoyantly. Sometimes the most graceful thing is thank you. Even if you don't understand it, but acknowledge the moments where you do have intuitive hits and you know that you've just channeled something. By saying thank you, amplifies it. Gratitude amplifies it.
So I think this is a wonderful place to move on to kind of how can we demystify channeling then for people that aren't channeling. But first, I'd just like to say, if anybody listening live has questions, either for me and Tatanka or for our guides, because we both said we're willing to channel, please do start typing them in, because we're obviously on a time limit. And so any questions you have about channeling, about yourself, just whatever. Tatanka is the most amazing channel, by the way. I've put up her link to her one-to-ones. I come to Tatanka as often as I can because she is just, because do you know what? It's also important to go to other channels and to have readings that are not involving you. So sometimes the hardest person to channel for can be yourself, because especially if you're in a block, you can't see past your own emotions and own stuff that you've got going on. And so that's why I go to other channels. And Tatanka is just the most amazing. She has got things so spot on that I'm like, she's blown my mind. Like how the things that she's got right, I've just been like, wow, she's such an accurate channel. So I strongly recommend a one-to-one with Tatanka. Cannot sing her praises enough. I've put the link up so you can just open it and it will open up in another tab. You won't lose the webinar. But you guys are being quiet and I want you to stop being quiet, because channeling is about communicating. So please do start sharing, start questioning. Like this webinar is to try and help you open up. So bring your blocks, bring your questions, bring what you have to the table. I think the first thing to say about channeling is you already know how to channel. Like, you already know how to channel. Like Tatanka saying, sometimes we have to clean the window, and depending on the life that we've led in this lifetime and the family we were brought up with and the beliefs we've had, some people's window is dirtier than other people's window. But every time you go into a place and you go, I don't like the vibe in here, that is a form of channeling. That is you connecting to the energy of a place, going like, I don't like the energy in here. Every time you get an instinct for something, that is a form of channeling. And the first way to come into channeling is to start connecting to your heart. So your heart is really the center of how you channel. And simply by doing heart opening meditations, you're going to come into your heart. And the reason I believe the heart is so important is because how on earth are you going to know whether you like an energy or a guide if you don't know your own heart? And your higher self is only going to protect you. Your higher self is always going to protect you. And so part of learning to channel is learning to become safe in connecting. And the way you become safe in connecting is being able to ask your heart, is this right for me? Because if you cannot learn to get an answer from your heart, then essentially you're going into the spaghetti of energy that is the universe without any sense of what is right or wrong for you. And I go as far as to say, even if Jesus Christ comes down to you and gives you a message and your heart goes, no, I don't care what the name of the guide is. If my heart doesn't agree with it, we're not playing, you know? And so your heart is really the best place to begin, because it will bring you into your power. It will bring you into the compass of channeling and break you through the first block to channeling, which for so many people is fear. It's fear that they might connect to something that they don't like. It's fear that they might connect to an energy that, you know, the unknown is scary. That what we can't see is scary when you're not used to it. And so learning to have that kind of heart safety net is the first step to go, okay, if I don't like an energy and my heart says no, then I can just say no. And the energy can go away and I am safe. I don't know what you think of that, Tatanka, but like to me, it's all about the heart.
Yeah, I agree, and I would agree to the importance of connecting to the heart space. As you describe this, I also get a sense that there is this higher heart consciousness that is trying to expand on the planet and awaken in humanity. In spiritual circles, we tend to know of it as a fifth dimensional consciousness or Christ consciousness. It's a consciousness of inclusivity where one is aware of their profound connection to all that exists on an energy level, on a spiritual level, and that just on an everyday, in an everyday way, whether it's a tree you're walking past, or person at the store to, or anything that is in existence and alive, your ability to feel it, to connect with its consciousness, to allow yourself to do that without being afraid. One has to be in connection with this heart consciousness. If we don't have the heart consciousness, we might still be able to sense energies, but the ability to relate to those energies, to communicate two ways with those energies is going to be restricted. So the heart is the unification component in channeling.
And it's also
Absolutely.
your center. Like, it's also your center. So am I receiving this energy? Like, otherwise you can just be an energy chaos. You know, you need something to kind of center into from where you are channeling from. And here's the other thing. If you channeled from an open heart, you are going to attract guides that are also channeling from an open heart. And I don't know about you guys, but I want to channel heart to heart with beings. I don't want to channel fear to fear with beings. I want to channel heart to heart. And so how you approach channeling is kind of what you're going to open up to. So opening up from the heart really means that the guides that you connect into, the spirits you connect into, open their heart to you. Like, one of the things that I teach in channeling is, you know, babies have such an open heart that they open our hearts instantly. That's why when we see a baby, we're like, and we go into softness and kindness because they show us their heart. And so essentially, when you open your heart to spirit, you're having the same effect with the guides. It's like they're like, oh, you know, and suddenly they're drawn to you and they're called to you. And it happens with humans as well, you know. When a human like opens their heart and smiles at you and dazzles at you, you want to connect. Like, you want to connect to that human. And guides are, the laws of guides, I find this, are just the same as the laws of humans. Like, they might be a bit more compassionate and understanding, but basically, if you come polite and with manners and with kindness, then they respond in that way. I don't know if you find the same thing, Tatanka, but I really find that the laws of nature are, you know, again, it's not as far as people think it is. It's not as different as you think it is. Speaking to your guides is the same as speaking to your friends. Come with an open heart. Come with gentleness. Come with
reverence and respect to the way that we should be with everyone and everything. And
and then it comes back to you, you know, because it is a two-way thing. It is a two-way flow thing. So the heart is definitely really important. Second rule is to ask. Ask. Just be like, universe, send me the right channeling teacher. Send me the right book. I want to open up. The universe wants you to open up. The universe wants you to connect. And as soon as you ask, the universe is going to be like, here you go. What do you need? So ask. And ask as well when you connect and you don't understand something. Because we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how when you first started channeling, you didn't necessarily understand symbolism. Can you explain about that a bit?
Yeah, so I'll just explain a bit about how that came in, about tools that we can use to enhance or develop our channeling abilities. So actually, before I just get into to covering that, I just wanted to mention that the fact that we have a physical body and 5 senses, these senses should not ever be dismissed as unimportant. The 5 physical senses are gateways or portals to what we call extrasensory perception. And this extrasensory perception are the channels, in fact, through which information coming to you and into your consciousness. So for a moment, let's just discuss the 5 physical senses and connect them to the psychic senses, and then discuss the tools and techniques that we can use to further develop those senses, those psychic abilities. So the first one, let's say it's sight. Physical senses, sight, vision. Clairvoyance is the psychic sense associated with that physical sense. Now, some people might have some challenges experiencing connection to their clairvoyance. So techniques such as visualization, just imagination, closing one's eyes and pretending that you're seeing a scenario. See a red rose, see the rose come together in your visualization. And so also working with symbols. So a lot of clairvoyant information can come through in the form of symbols. The human consciousness holds deep in our memory ancient symbols that even the smallest of children recognizes and speaks to us. So, for example, in our mythologies, take the symbol of an owl. In every culture across the planet, the symbol of an owl represents specific qualities or insights, no matter what culture you come from. So, for example, qualities or acute vision in obscure situations. So it's the ability to penetrate sight in dark environment or into darkness within ourselves to become conscious. It's a symbol of consciousness arising. So if in a channeling state or you are receiving symbols, say, such as an owl coming through visually, you need to be able to decode those symbols to understand what the language that spirit speaks is sometimes symbolic. It's not always literal, and the interpretation of these images, pictures, designs is symbolic. So you said there are amazing oracle card decks that are out there that people can buy, use as tools to familiarize yourself visually with the symbols. Even animal spirit guides, for example. Again, across traditional cultures in the world, animal guides are holding the same meaning in different cultures. So just to learn a little bit about these symbols will help you to fine-tune your psychic ability, your Jedi. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I've just kind of been shown an analogy. If you think of like when you're learning to communicate with somebody with another language, and maybe they're not fluent in the same language as you, it's so similar channeling, especially at first, because you know how you're like, we are going for a drink? And that's basically what your guides are doing. They're like, as you're learning how to channel, they're like sending you like, because they're also learning to connect to you. You've got to remember that, like, they're learning to connect to you as a channel. And so especially at first, it is very, very symbol based, especially if you're a visual person, because you're basically like flapping at each other in the way that you do when two people are trying to bridge a language gap. Yes. And that's what's happening. And I think the most important thing to do is when you get a symbol, ask what it means. The most powerful way to develop your channeling is to be like, okay, what does that mean? I'm opening my heart. I'm asking my heart, what does it mean? And maybe the answer will come in another symbol. But just like when you don't speak someone's language and they go, and say you didn't know what that meant, you'd be like, and, you know, then they'd explain it in more detail. It's just like that. It's just like that, isn't it? At first, like as you develop it, you become fluent in it, and they become fluent in you, and so it develops beyond that. But at first, it is so like that way of bridging a language between two people, and I think that's, you know, a really important thing to understand. Sorry to interrupt you; it just kind of flashed through my head.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thank you. So, and then another sense, a physical sense, would be hearing, and the psychic sense, the extrasensory sense, is clairaudience. So this is a very interesting and tricky one, because for me personally, this is where I would say my strongest psychic sense. And I was just trying to what techniques have I used to amplify my ability to hear communication that's outside of the range of just our normal human ears. So one thing is definitely with the throat chakra, because the throat chakra is also regulating all portal in the auditory system that are responsible for opening the channels to hearing frequencies, to hearing voices that are from the subtle dimensions, originating from the subtle dimensions. So anything that you can do to bring balance to the throat chakra. Number one, speaking your truth. You know, for a very long time, it was very difficult for me to talk about my feelings. Really, I would literally feel as though I would get a bullet, and it would just be like the emotion of connecting with my truth and voicing my truth. That was integral in moving the blocks that allowed this passageway, the energy, to flow and open. So speaking one's truth. Exercises such as even singing, opening this chakra. You know, the voice is one of our tools, channeling tools. Even to conduct healing energy, we can heal through vibration, through sound, right? So this chakra is super important.
I'd say as well, listening. Like simply listening. So many people ask questions, but they don't give the time for the answer to come. And so simply by like asking the question and then giving that space time for the answer to come, you know, so many people I see when they're starting to channel, they're like, okay, I've asked the question, but nothing's happening. And they're already saying nothing's happening, and they actually haven't given a chance for that moment, for the, you know, you have to actually listen if you want to hear. Like, you have to stop your mind and listen.
And especially in the beginning, I find that channeling can be like making a long distance call to the North Pole, not on an analog system, or maybe on a tin can that, you know, with the string. Sometimes it takes a long time for the connection to be received, to be transmitted and registered. So if you're too impatient with the process and you're like, I don't hear it, where's my answer? It takes a minute to kind of get through and make its connection. So patience is essential. Stilling the mind, meditative practice, it is critical to opening and clear all of the channel senses. You must be as open and clean and clear as possible for connection. Anything? Did you want to add anything?
No, I think that's perfect. I love what you say about the voice and truth, because one of the things that I have learned as a channel is the more willing you are to be in your truth, even years of channeling later, the more honest I'm becoming in my life, the bigger my gift is getting. Because no guides are going to want to channel through somebody that they can't trust to tell the truth. And one of the things that happens with channeling is, if you want to be a completely unlimited channel, you have to tell it like it is. You can't filter it out to suit you and to suit your belief system. You know, channeling is to a degree an amount of interpretation, because obviously you're getting a symbol that you're then interpreting. But the less kind of filtered you can become, the more amazing your connection becomes. Because as a channel, you're here to be as clear as possible, you know? This is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm getting. I think that's where the voice comes into it, you know? It's like, can you speak your truth? Can you speak your truth?
Yeah. And can you handle the truth?
Yeah.
Because the moment you are able to embrace that, also expands and opens up your channeling abilities to whole other levels. So we were also speaking about this phenomenon called being like a universal channeler or multi-dimensional channeler, where there comes a moment where you are connecting with guides that are only in resonance with your level of vibrational frequency, which in the old time of channeling or previous times, that was more the case, where you would attract guides to you that could harmonize with your level of frequency. So for some people, maybe they were only able to connect with ancestral guides or animal spirit guides, guides at the level of the astral plane, but maybe necessarily beings on a fifth dimensional consciousness, ascended masters, archangels, angelic beings, beings that are of a higher vibration might not be able to access the consciousness of a person. But the more you embrace this truth, universal truth, you now allow and open up for beings of all levels of consciousness to have connection with you. So just like on the physical 3D plane, there are people, different levels of consciousness. So it is in the metaphysical side of life that there are beings of all levels of consciousness. And as a channeler, if you want to have some fun too, you would like to have conversation with someone's grandmother, maybe who passed away in a mediumship ability, or have a conversation with Angel Michael the next day, or Jesus the next day, or, the whole of consciousness, the whole of creation's consciousness is accessible to a human being. We are part of it. We are meant to be in communion and community and communication with all that is. We've just forgotten that. We're part of it. So embracing ourselves embraces the whole too. And you're going to have lots of fun with channeling that way.
I'm so pleased you brought up dimensional to well, I call it dimensional channeling, but that is a whole other level of channeling. Like, that is when you're like, okay, we're basically, so normally when you channel, or in the old way of channeling, you would receive a bigger percentage of the guide's energy than you would send to the guide. What happens when you dimensional channel is your consciousness travels through the dimensions to where the guides are at. So you are sitting there with the person that you're channeling for, or the group that you're channeling for, and you're also hanging out with the guides where they are at in the angelic realm, or in this. And that means that you receive on a multi-sensory level. So it's not, it's the difference between video phoning or just telephoning. Like, you're getting so much more information because you can see it and hear it and feel it, and you're there in it. And I think that's a really exciting form of channeling. And again, you're only going to get to that level if you can be empowered, if you can be in your heart, if you know you can feel safe because you've got the energetic techniques to and you've also passed through the layers of fear that stop you from feeling safe, and that you're grounded. If you're not grounded, you're never going to dimensional channel because it's not safe for you to do so. So many people I know, like, they've got amazing connection, but they're limiting their connection because they're not grounding. If you don't ground, you're never going to be dancing around the dimensions, like, because you have to be able to get back to your body. Your life is your most important thing. And if you're not able to get back to your body, it's never going to happen. And so, you know, I just think it's such a wonderful, exciting new way of channeling. My guides say it's the 5D way of channeling. And it opens up if you're willing to be like, okay, whatever, no limits, just take me wherever, show me whatever, highest good, come on in. And if you kind of come for that party intention, again, you just open, you know, you just open. And but it's less linear. So if you're not willing to kind of be in the truth with it, then it's more jumpy around, you know? And so if you can't just be honest about that happening, you're going to try and start controlling it and have it how you think it should be, which is actually going to limit you. You know what Tatanka was saying earlier about being completely playful with it. The playfulness will take you into dimensional channeling. It will take you into the like, woo, I'm with the angels now, I'm with the dragons now, you know, like I'm flying around the cosmos. You're never going to do that if you're not playful. You're never going to do that if you're not playful. It's a really interesting, exciting new type of channeling though. Really exciting new type of channeling.
And I think just speaking on how channeling is developing, because it's going through a metamorphosis process also. This ability to tap into multi-dimensional experiences as a process of channeling. This in how can I put this? In layman's terms, this is like the ability of teleportation.
Yeah.
Like if a human being was able to physically, it's a precursor of that, really.
Yeah,
you know, we're in with consciousness, with our consciousness, teleporting with consciousness. But I believe that the human being is evolving to a point where the physical body is in its vibration. Sometime, who knows when, we might be able to physically translocate ourselves dimensions. But for now, being able to do it through channeling, it's crazy to be able to experience yourself in another place as well as physically here sitting on the chair. It's something to really look forward to. It's something that, if I would say, to work with your channeling, develop it, practice it, as you grow in it, it will be the gift that keeps on giving to you, because there's so many layers of depth to channeling.
And like for me,
dimensional
channeling has only just opened up. Like it was something that I was kind of half doing, but it's only fully started to open up within the last year, you know? Like your channeling always develops, it always evolves. I think we will move on to the other senses of channeling. Yes. But first, Eddie's just written that she people keep giving her owl-related gifts and have done for the whole year. And I just wondered if your guides had any guidance about that, because it seems that owls are a theme. So, and I love Tatanka's channeling, so I'm going to put her on this one.
Owl-related gifts. The immediate sense I get is that this is actually to do with some sort of soulmate connection and the synchronicities that are being communicated almost to, it's like fishing, casting out and drawing in, casting out and drawing in. There's signs and symbols either it's the person's name is with an L, or the place you're going to meet them is an L, but there's something that somebody's consciousness, and it is soulmate related. I don't know if you've been calling it a soulmate, but there is a key person, a key relationship that is coming into your life that is already it's announcing itself through all of these synchronicities. Yeah. What do you pick up anything? Do you feel anything?
To me, the owl is a symbol, like you say, soulmate, but I wonder if it's a spiritual teacher rather than a relationship soulmate, because the owl is also a symbol of the midnight goddesses, and they're a bit like you said about going into the dark. It's a symbol of the dark night of the soul, but getting through the dark night of the soul. And I wonder if this person is a spiritual teacher or a goddess that is calling you.
A guide.
Yeah. A guide.
Or an
yeah.
aspect of self. Aspect of self. Yeah. An aspect of their own soul, her own soul that's calling her to union.
Yeah. Like some kind of completion of a journey or something like that, or an awakening of more of your, or even your path is being called by the owl. Like you can have path symbols. So I have several path symbols, and when I see those symbols, one of them is the white feather. I'm like, that means that like my path is saying something to me, like, and it's different for different people. And I almost feel like this owl might be a path symbol or a new job.
What I would also recommend to her to do is meditate on also the spirit guide animal as an owl. Just do some meditation and call the energy of the owl and ask owl to impart its message, wisdom, knowledge to you through the dream state, or even consciously in meditation. What is the meaning of this for your life? This is very powerful energy. Like spirit guides are also very strongly coming through now, like wanting to work with people. The bird kingdom especially. I mean, owls, eagles, hawks, all over the place. Like if you are having feather symbols, bird symbols, really reflect on that and see what messaging comes through for you.
And that's been something that I've only just started doing this summer, but I think it's something that's so good for people to be doing. I have been journeying with animals that I've been getting signs about. So I've been doing a course personally, and this is such a good example of why you learn how to channel. I've been doing an abundance course. In the middle of the abundance course, I started channeling Goddess Lakshmi, and she was like, I'm going to give you these 3 animals, and you have to journey with them. And when I say journeying, it's a type of dimensional channeling where you literally just put an alarm on your phone and go like, okay, I'm going to lie and hang out with this animal for half an hour. And I'm just going to see where my imagination and this animal takes me. And the messages that have been coming through from just lying there has been amazing. And like I've ended up journeying with more than 3 animals, with like 7 animals now. And like they've been giving me so much, like I've had this whole hummingbird that like taught me all these new manifesting techniques. I had this bee that was teaching me about like heart-centered channeling. And like literally you just go, use your imagination as the gateway, be like, and the beautiful thing about animals is they're so easy to connect to because they're in form as well. So like, you know, you just lie with the bee, and then you're like, okay, I'm imagining the bee. Okay, the bee's taken me to this forest. Okay, now I'm in the forest. Oh my gosh, the bee's telling me about the heart. Oh my gosh. And then suddenly, like, it takes you into a conscious dream state. That's what journeying is. But it's a type of dimensional channeling. And it's an amazing thing to do with animals. And what all these animals have taught me is like, if you're getting lots of animal signs, journey with the animals. The animal kingdom has lessons for all of us. And if we don't sit with those lessons, You know, the only way we're going to sit with those lessons, you receive those lessons, is by communing with the animals. And they want to do it in an animal way. They don't want to do it in a like, we're going to direct voice through you way. They want you to like hang with them. Like,
yeah.
you know, the horse, I was like, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, it's almost that communication has to happen on an instinctive level. The communication with the animal guides, it's not about language, it's not about it's just pure instinct from the nature of what it is, the nature of its character, the nature of its essence. If it's connected something in you that is in resonance with that same essence. So you might start to embody the characteristics of that guide. If you're a bee, maybe you'll start to behave more bee-like in your approach to whatever it is, whatever area of your life, whatever that means to you. Yeah.
It's
exciting.
It's holding the energy of those animals and the wisdom of those animals. I mean, you know, the first animal journey I did was with the horse. Lakshmi had told me which to do. And the first thing I asked, because I was doing this abundance, because I was like, tell me, so what have you got to teach me about money? And he was like, can't teach you anything about money, I'm a horse. But I can teach you about abundance. I can teach you about freedom. Like, learn the animal way. Like, get out of your human head. And how good is, you know, of course horses can teach us about freedom. They're animals that represent freedom. When we're trying to seek freedom from money, what an amazing way to connect into freedom. It's a totally out of your head, out of your 3D way, you know? And I just think that, like, nature is trying to teach us about how to live on this earth. That's why animal guides, plant guides, fairies, elementals, learn from them. They know how to live on this earth. They know how to survive on this earth.
It was so much, it was so much easier for indigenous cultures to just live this way because they were so much in connection with nature. They watched the animals in the forests. They were with their guides and teachers and their brothers and sisters of the kingdoms, of the other, you know, kingdoms of existence. For us, we have to make a bit of extra effort because we're living so detached from nature in everyday life. But if we, it will be so amazing. It is so amazing.
It is so amazing, and then you can call upon those energies. You know, that's the other thing. It's like, it's so amazing to be able to say, okay, I need more of this. Can I just have the energy of the horse with me today? I need to feel freer. You know, like, that's the thing. You don't necessarily just have to channel for messages. You can channel for energy. You can channel for, like, okay, I've got to do something. Let me call the warrior goddesses, or let me just have some of this energy today, because it's yours too, because we're also all one. But I'm worried about time, so let's move on to the next load of sense. What's the next sense?
So then we have the sense of taste, touch, and smell. So for me, all of the three physical senses are part of what we call clairsentient. The psychic sense is clairsentient, and it's the ability to sense in the physical body information, to sense communication. So, for example, empathy is an ability to feel within one's experience the emotions of another. It's not the same thing as compassion or sympathy, which is you're able to relate to the suffering of another because you have been through it. No, the empathy is I feel you within me. within my physical body, pain in my physical body or in my physical body. You might, medical intuitives have this ability where, you know, they'll sit down and do a scan, a reading on someone, and suddenly they'll feel, oh, I have pain in my rib or in my chest and my heart. I feel my heart rate is shifting. I feel palpitations. Their body will take on the sensation and rhythm of someone who the communication from energetically. It aligns with the external communication to let the person know, the channel know what's going on. So using the senses, some people taste, they taste senses, metallic tastes. They might smell fragrances that most people in the room might not smell, but they might, for example, guidance. I'll give you an example. My auntie, when spirits were around, it was a mediumistic ability. She would start to smell like pipe smoke, tobacco smoke. No one else could smell it, but she would smell that sweet, fragrant tobacco smoke, and she would always know presence is coming around. But so this is what I mean about being able to sense things physically to tap in. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I talk about first languages in channeling. Like, everybody has a dominant language, and some people are there visual, some people they're audio, some people are feelers, and my first language is feeling. And so the way I connect to energy first is through feeling. Even if I'm saying, like, I can see this, usually I'm feeling it and seeing it. And I think that understanding your first language is really key to opening up channeling, because it's just like human languages. Just like with the mother tongue, you will if you don't understand something, you're going to translate it with your mother tongue, even if you speak 5 other languages. So getting to know your first language is absolutely key to channeling. And all I want to say is, when Tatanka is talking, listen to her. Which one, and I'm going to speak in my first language, which one feels right? But, like, which one are you, like, which one is the one that, like, you're understanding? You're like, yeah, that's happened to me. Because that's where to begin. That is the foundation which you must build from as a channel. So many people think they're not channeling because they're not visual, and they're trying to connect visually, and so they're saying they're not channeling, but the whole time they're having this massive feeling experience going on, and the vision will come. It's just, you have to understand the first language first. I don't know if that makes sense to Tatanka, but, like, for me, understanding that I was a feeler was like, okay, now I can understand that this is how I channel, and how I specifically channel, you know?
Yeah.
And now the vision and the smell and all of those other things have developed, but it's the being able to know which is yours is the key to demystifying channeling, actually.
Boundaries, understanding the healthy boundaries in the communication, in the unity, the oneness with all. You must have a clear sense of what is your own to have discernment, basically. Yeah. Especially if you're reading, if you're using channeling as provide guidance or messages for others, it's very important to be able to keep your personal paradigm and your energetics outside of the information that you are receiving. Otherwise, you can distort the information that's coming in if you project too much of your own energy in there, or your own emotions, your own perspectives. You understand what I mean? It just to keep things clean and clear. And you'll know what is yours versus someone else's, because when you pick up energy that is someone else's, there is an emotional detachment. in a way. It's almost like you might experience it physically and experience the sensation of it, but there's no narrative.
There's no story.
No dialogue. There's no story connected to the information that you're just sensing. Yes, the moment there is a trigger and a bias in anything, check yourself, because then your boundaries are a little bit too porous at that moment. Another thing I wanted to just another psychic sense, which we call claircognizant, which is the ability to just know. As some people have this ability to download packets of information in bulk form, and just know something. They don't have to go through a process of reduction, translation. It is a complete knowledge of something. And it is very much working. We were discussing this about connecting with gut instinct. Some people, they just feel information. They just know something in their gut.
And it's like the whole thing arrives, isn't it? It's like they don't have it as a story or step by step like the other way that people channel. It's like, yeah, I know this. I know the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can describe it. Like it's like, I know I need to do this now. And they know why, and they don't even know how they've got to knowing why. They just know. It's that kind of instant punch of information, really.
Yeah. So people, this is a very simplistic way of looking at it, but there's the ability to channel from the higher chakras and from the lower chakras. I'm talking about our 7 main chakras. So certain channels, for example, who are clairvoyant, clairaudient, these are associated with the higher chakras. Okay. Some people who those chakras are not open for them. They're not able to visualize. They're not able to hear anything from guidance, but maybe they have this gut instinct, claircognizant feeling, this knowing immediately. They know the right timing of things. They know when to act, when not to act. They don't know how they come into knowing what they know. They just know that they know. So yeah, people who are in the feeling channels. So sentient and claircognizant people, this is very active in the lower chakra. This is connected to the physical body. And these people are powerful channels just as much as the higher chakra channels. And some tools that you can use to strengthen your channeling connection is just to know, like Katie said, what language. So you can use muscle testing, for example, applied kinesiology, to ask the consciousness of your body, which of the 5 senses are your strongest physical senses, and by that you can know which psychic sense, which channel is your most open one. Keeping in mind that can also shift and change as the years go on. You might start off with one channel, for example, being clairvoyant, being your strongest or open channel. After years of practice, you might have 2, 3, or 4 other channels that open up, which is so exciting.
Yeah, they all do open up. Like, that's the thing. If you can get the foundation of the first language, all of the others come quite easily. But just allow yourself to focus on that first language. Find out what it is. You'll know. The question to ask yourself always, every time you do a meditation, every time you do a visualization, how did I know? Because how do you know? How you know? You'll answer it. You'll be like, I felt it. I saw it. I just knew. That's how you, like, if you keep asking yourself that question, you will find your first language, because there will be one that is really, really dominant, and then you'll know what your first language is. And then that's how you start to know how to connect. That's how you start to know how to connect, using your first language as the gateway. And your first language depends on what path you walk, what you're meant to do with your life, where you're energetically from. Like, there's loads of reasons why we have a different first language, and we don't have time to go.
And also, and just also depending on how your window has become dirty, whether it's mental blocks, emotional blocks, physical blocks, sometimes disease in the body, sometimes environmental toxins, and inhibit our ability to have an open channel. Because if the physical body is not if you're not getting the right nutrition, this affects also the neurological performance in your body. Channeling, the art of channeling, is not at all separate from the biological component of grounding that information into this 3D reality. If I leave you with nothing else today, it is, please understand that your body, your physical human form, is the gateway to your spiritual connection.
Word, yes. Your body is the channel. It's the receptor of the channel.
To fine-tune it, to turn up the volume of your spiritual connection. Everything, the human, physically, we are channels for grace. We are channels for information. We are channels for light. We are a prism. We're not we reflect consciousness and light information coming through us from all different realms. Keep your prism clean and shiny. Keep window clean.
And how would you suggest that people can keep their window clean?
Okay, so for mental blocks, it's like looking at limiting belief systems. Oh, I can't do this. That person over there channels, they channel angels. I can't even channel my personal guide. It's like limiting thought beliefs, like comparison, expectation, sometimes stress. Psychologically, we live in such a demanding time that if you have a very busy career, job, or family life, or if you don't have the mental space, this can affect your ability to channel.
Yeah, give yourself space. Give yourself space. Yeah. Give yourself a chance to connect. I think that is the first baby step, is give yourself half an hour a day to meditate, to connect, and to connect in a way that makes you feel safe. So if calling the angels, because fear often blocks it. So calling the angels, if you're an angel person, grounding if you're a Gaia person, whatever's going to make you feel safe to connect, calling light around yourself, and just playing.
Yes.
Playing, exploring. We don't have much longer, but one more question for Tatanka. And I also, for those of you that feel really called to learn how to channel, once a year Starlight does a course in channeling and connection, which is running in November this year. This course is about making you an empowered channel. So, I laughed when Tatanka sent me the blurb, because she was like, yeah, we need to talk about the languages of connection. And I was like, oh my God, that's like the basis of my course. And like, it's about removing all of the fears in your consciousness that stop you channeling. So cleaning the window, finding out what your first language is, and then really developing as a channel. Like, this course is not for people that just want to dip their toe in. It's about becoming a channel. So it's a journey where you're held in the energy and given so many opportunities to practice and play, and so much one-to-one time. And so if you want to find out more about it, there is the link. It is limited. So once it's sold out, it's sold out. And if you're called, then now is the time to start signing up to it. So that's what I've got going on. Like I said, I will be sending an email with a link to Tanka's website. And I strongly, strongly recommend having a channeling with her, because honestly, every time I do, she gives me so much information about my path. It's amazing. But we did have one question from someone else, and it was, She's saying that she gets a lot of answers in her dreams, but then she forgets the details at the time she wakes up. What can she do to remember the experiences of the dream?
Okay, so there are two aspects to this. Some dreams are the subconscious's process of just clearing out and releasing it. It's a system of purging and realigning vibration that helps your waking consciousness. Part of an ascension process that through dream time, so much baggage, so much stuff. A lot of dreams that you don't remember when you wake up. I wouldn't worry too much about that, because the process of why that's happening is already taken place on a rewiring energetically, subconsciously. The dreams where you do wake up and remember portions can also be guidance starting to come through. That has to come through first your subconscious. It's like your guides symbolically trying to connect with you to egg you on towards conscious connection. So what I would say to you in this case is develop your channeling ability, because what you don't remember when you wake up from dreams, if you carve out time to form to sit down to channel through automatic writing, through visualization, ask the guides to send you signs and symbols while you are awake, so much of that you're missing out can be filled in that process. But you must carve time out. The guys are just saying, if you make the time and space, we will fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
So make time and space, and your friends will help you into remembrance of what you need to know and of who you are.
I think that's a beautiful answer. Thank you. That's such a beautiful answer. And I think that, remember, everything is an opportunity to learn more about channeling. So when you don't understand something, ask. Be like, okay, I forgot this. Can you tell me? Keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. And I pulled a card, and this is an interesting card for us to fish with, but it's transformation. And that's, I think, another really beautiful point from the cards is it's like, if you want to learn how to channel, you need to transform your belief system. Like, you need to transform the part of you that doesn't believe you can channel. Like, you need to be willing to change. And the best way to change is to play. The best way to change is to play. We have run out of time. This subject is so epic. And I could talk to Tatanka about channeling for ages. But Tatanka, is there anything else you'd like to say?
All day long we could do that.
I know. Is there anything else that you'd like to say or add or share?
I would just like to say thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you to all the people that have joined us for this discussion. I really feel energetic the fact that you are drawn to the show already speaks to the fact that you are going to be learning about this. Pursue with curiosity, with fun, with openness, this art form. Okay, and just know that your guides are always there. They always want to communicate with you. They constantly keep telling me, like, friendship, the fellowship and friendship, they really want to make this not above you. The guides are not above you. They're not detached from you. They are ever present around you and just waiting for you to open up space for them. So let's do this. This will be amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
And you can do it. It's a birthright. That's the last. It's a birthright. You can do it. Yes, you have to learn how to do it, just like you had to learn how to walk and talk. But you can do it, because everybody can. because no soul is born into this world without knowing, without the tools of connection. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, because every soul has the five senses. Even if you're missing a sense, you still have the, you know, your other senses get stronger. It is absolutely a birthright, and you have it because your body already knows how to do it, because it already knows how to see, how to hear, how to smell, how to feel, how to know. So it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's what the fairies say. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Love and thanks to all of you.
Love you all. And just for 1 minute, close your eyes and send your love and gratitude to the earth. Send your love and gratitude to each other. Send your love and gratitude to Source. Send your love and gratitude to the light. Send your love and gratitude to your guide. And feel that love and gratitude coming back to your heart. Feel that flow of love and gratitude that is the breath of the universe. And know that you belong to that breath. So much love to you all. I will send you an email with Tatanka's details tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.